So the Times just coined a new term called mankeeping. The idea is as males' social circles shrink, female partners are taking more of the emotional labor on of relationships. The article says that 15% of men say they don't have a close friend in the world, which is up from 3% that said that in 1990. Half of men surveyed said that they wouldn't have someone to call if they had bad news or a traumatic event. A lot of the women in the heterosexual relationships mentioned in the article said that they took on the work of colleague, partner, therapist, and even planning the social circle and the social calendar for their relationship. Women have strong social circles, people they can call, and communities on which they can lean, but I think it's becoming increasingly obvious that men don't have that same outlet. It reminded me of the Man Park on SNL, where all the girlfriends get tired of their boyfriends launching information at them, so they send them to a dog park, but for men. I'd love to hear from anybody who feels like they have extra emotional labor because of this trend.
Oh my gosh. Here we go again, gentlemen. The man-keeping era. This has been trending on TikTok recently, and I just thought I'd address it. I want to address a few things that this lady says. One of the big issues is this loneliness epidemic, this man's loneliness epidemic. And I have to push back at this because the only people that I see that are telling us there's a man's loneliness epidemic are other women. There was only one man that went on CNN and apparently disclosed that men are lonely. I think his name is Scott Galloway. And because more men are having less relationships, this was classified as lonely. And it blows my mind that women, once again, tend to put men in the same category as them. And the same emotions that men emote are apparently the same as women. Men don't really suffer from loneliness like women do. And I really strongly feel that this is a projection. Listen, I've been married 22 years, same with my wife, my current wife. And you know something? Around 2 weeks ago, we had an argument. And when we have arguments, we tend to go into our space. We shut down, right? We give each other space. You know, that's the most beautiful thing for me. I am very comfortable in that space. My wife can handle it for a while, but after a while, I can see when she's cracking. I can see it. I can see the glances. I know when things are happening. I know when she's had enough. But I can go on for quite some time. I mean, we're great now. Because, listen, we've been through these episodes many, many, many times over the 2.5 decades that we've been together. But I give you an example of how men operate and how we tend to deal with so-called loneliness, right? We don't need social circles like women need social circles. And this is where women tend to freaking get men wrong. Once again, women don't understand men. But that's a side note to what the general concept of this whole discussion is that this article basically is telling women, once again, they have the burden of being a man's companion when they're in a relationship. And that apparently is an emotional burden that they have to contend with. Just think about that shit. And that's what we're going to dive into because this blows my freaking mind. Okay? Hit that thumbs up button, my friends. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, I am back with the Content Creators Toolkit. It's upgraded, it's AI centered, and it's going to make you produce content a lot faster. Whether you're producing courses, YouTube channel, or writing a book, this course is designed for you. Not only will it tell you how to create the courses, but it will also tell you how to sell it, how to market it, how to price it, everything. Okay, the Content Creators Toolkit, upgraded version, now available, $49.95. Support the channel. Go out there and create your own content. Don't be just a consumer of content, be a creator of content and start to make some passive income in this day and age where everybody's consuming digital content. Okay, so let's listen to this next woman here.
So I was published in the New York Times today about the topic of man-keeping, and both me and my boyfriend were interviewed. Man-keeping, if you don't know, is the idea that the male loneliness epidemic has actually forced women into the role of provider, both emotionally in terms of support network, in terms of creating the social calendar, etc., for the men in their lives. Men are lonely and starved for relationships, not just romantically, but also within their own friend groups. They don't have the connections that women have, the social circles that women have, and so women inevitably start fulfilling that role when they get in a partnership. They become the man's social calendar, but also the man's emotional support network, while the woman will then go to her friends to talk about what's going on in her life. So it's not a reciprocal transaction. When I first brought this up to my boyfriend, he was like, okay, but is this bad? I believed it just to be like a normal heterosexual relationship. This is the role the man takes and the role the woman takes. But after having a conversation, he started to understand the impetus and the resentment that I was feeling from carrying this.
She feel resentful for actually being a normal girlfriend. And she has actually convinced him that that was a burden for her. Me being your friend, sir. Imagine looking at your partner and saying, hey, me being your friend and a support network and part of a supporting individual in your relationship is a burden for me. Even though I depend on you for the exact same thing, right? But yours is a burden for me. So what use is a woman at any stage in a relationship? What use are women? Because the sex will stop. If the companionship stops, then what the hell are you there for? Pay the bills? The man might as well just get another man then. I don't understand this idea where the whole idea of men are supposed to be more intelligent, more emotionally available, but then when he becomes more emotionally available, which basically means he should cry in front of his woman and emote to his woman, now, apparently, when he does that, she now partly takes on more the emotional role. So now she wants to be what? Compensated for that? I don't get it. What is it now? So if a man emotes and becomes emotional, that's a problem. If he don't do it, oh, he's cold and he doesn't want to get in touch with his feelings. What do you women want? It blows my mind. Here's the thing, ladies. Every single grown-ass man knows that he do not go to his woman for support because women do not provide support that men want. Men don't want support. He wants solutions. He don't want to freaking just cry to you. He wants a solution. Women are not solution-based. They're emotional-based. They will try to make him feel good, but men don't want to feel good. He wants a solution so that that bad feeling goes away. And the only people that he knows that he can turn to for solution are other men. And that's why I always encourage every single man to have a network of other men that he can go to for solutions. And if you're freaking crying to your woman like a little bitch, then shit, dude, that's you. That's on you. You should never, ever, 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 ever do that. Because this is the kind of shit women will come back with. They don't want to be your emotional tampon. Whew. This is very disturbing. We've reached this level of shame for men where women think that just being a normal human individual that would listen to the one person who loves her and who she's supposed to love and supposed to be there as someone who's his friend and who's his partner in life. Apparently, he cannot come to her with any emotional issues. But like I said, you shouldn't do that, gentlemen. Sure, you should have a conversation, but coming to her with deep emotional shit, you might mention it once and then that's it. Trust me, she will not have a solution for you. Women don't want to hear about you, my friend. But yeah, I know the question will come to your head. Well, what is she there for? Because if she's going to emotionally blackmail you and then sexually blackmail you, what else is she going to do? Yes, gentlemen, I'm telling you this one simple thing. This is what you call emotional blackmail. You're condemned if you do open up, and you're condemned if you don't open up.
So I am begging you, this concept of mankeeping, wherein essentially it's being argued that women are having to do the emotional heavy lifting of listening to the men in their lives talk about their feelings and their problems. It's just the worst kind of misandry you could imagine.
This article was obviously written by a sadistic feminist who do not want to see heterosexual relationships work. And these women, heterosexual women, are falling for it hook, line, and sinker because once again, all they need is a little bait in order to be able to bite onto something that would make them look like a victim. It's insane listening to this shit. Gentlemen, grab your passports. go overseas. Wait for the AI dolls. I'm telling you, man.
Burden. It was published today, and the comments on it are absolutely wild. Some aptly pointed out that maybe we should stop doing this and we should allow the men to figure it out emotionally. Some men openly explained that they did not have those connections with men, which is the whole point and problem. And they admitted that it's hard for them to be vulnerable to anyone but their wives. In some ways, it feels like men don't feel like they deserve to have friendships or are allowed to have friendships. But there is a toll on women because of this. They're exhausted and they're starting to feel like men's personal assistants. What do you think about man keeping? Are you being man kept? Are you the man keeper? How does that dynamic play out in your relationship? And is it for better or worse?
Man, I had this discussion in the group chat yesterday. There's one thing that a woman hates more than anything else is when she feels useless in a relationship. And these are the good women. The women who are lazy, they don't really give a shit. They will sit on their ass all day and do absolutely nothing to help their partner, but expects their partner to feed into them 100%. But the good women who are in relationships knows that if she feels useless, she knows that that man can do without her. Every single human being wants to feel that they're useful. That's why we work. That's why we produce.
What is mankeeping?
Yeah, so it's the work women do to meet the social and emotional needs of men in their lives. And that can range from like supporting your partners on a day-to-day basis, listening to them talk about their day, or like, you know, working through their inner turmoil or reminding them to call their friends.
Yeah.
Reminding them to call their friends. Women really think that men are freaking big babies. Really. Reminding them to call their friends. Hey, honey, have you called Bob lately? Oh, sorry, honey. Yeah, I should. Oh, so, yeah, okay. Hey, no, call him now. Call him now, because you'll forget. Okay. Hey, Bob, how are you, buddy? Yeah, I was just thinking about you, man. No, I had to call him. I had to tell him to call you, Bob. It's my wife. She's just kidding in the back there. Gentlemen, if you're that type of guy, you deserve that shit. I can't say anything else because all I see is a man who is whipped to the point of almost embarrassment. I know. There are men out there like that.
Women are carrying a lot of emotional labor and mental load in relationships. And I have to be honest, I'm ashamed to say that I was not aware of the term mankeeping, as in I'd heard it described in a number of different articles that I had read, as in women carrying the mental load in relationships. And I posted a while ago about a woman who came up to her husband and said, I'm leaving you. And he was like, well, I don't understand that. I do all these things around the house. And she's like, well, actually, no, it's the invisible stuff in here that I'm carrying, the emotional and mental load. So the article in the Telegraph that I saw basically talking about this, and I thought, oh gosh, this actually makes a lot of sense. It is man keeping, right? A lot of man babies out there, because I've seen it myself in relationships, particularly for, you know, with people that have been married a long time. You know, the guy doesn't even know how to think for himself. You ask him any questions, he's like, go and talk to my wife about that. She'll tell you. She'll tell you when I'm supposed to eat next. You know, she'll tell you what we're doing next week. So I did a bit of research on this. Oh my God, there's so many articles about the emotional labor that women carry in relationships. And it's not even like a long-term thing, like in long-term relationships. Some of these articles are talking about the fact that, you know, just dating, they're finding, you know, getting to know somebody, they're having to carry quite a huge emotional burden of quite a lot of dysfunction out there, and male loneliness, and you know, men's inability just to lean in from an emotional perspective, that they rely so much on women, and that is man keeping.
Do you know what my fucking husband just tried to do to me?
Yeah.
Shut up. We're leaving in Paris.
You took the whole closet. You want to buy a separate house with all hanger space?
No, we were supposed to build a wardrobe, but Akash didn't want to do it because he's too
because
cheap.
I took the smaller closet.
Utilize the shelves, you idiot!
These are closets.
Shut up. So rude.
This is how society have bred you, and the wives that you've been with have bred you to be in this position. Most of your days are pretty much numbered. It'll be soon before she leaves. Hopefully nothing bad happens to you where you're no longer useful to her. No strokes, no heart attacks, no fall, broken hip, or your knee is out and you can't work or you lose your job. I hope none of those things happen to you, because that type of woman that treats you like that is going to be gone.
The male loneliness effect, what you don't know, and how it affects women. I recently read a really interesting article about this, and the main point was men need to stop depending on women because it's causing this phrase called mankeeping. And this is because the male loneliness epidemic is more than just men not being able to find fulfilling relationships. It's men utilizing women to be their entire emotional support network, to be their entire social network. It's men getting into relationships and putting all of their emotional needs on their significant other. Why? Because they're not taught at a young age societally to embrace those friendships with males. Not taught to invest in those emotional friendships with males. Societally acceptable for two men to go watch sports together because then they can sit side by side and talk about heavy topics, but that you're never going to see them at a restaurant across the table from each other talking or discussing heavy topics.
Yeah, see? What they don't see is how men communicate. They don't see that. They think that we're just sitting there talking sports and then that's it. So that's it. Women don't understand how men communicate. Women honestly feel that men should emote and act just like them in order for us to feel like we've connected with another man. Oh, we need to sit there with a, bottle of wine and sit there with some cheeses and, one of those, like a cheese platter, and we set it up and we put on our cozies and we grab a blanket and we sit there and we talk to each other and we just have a great, or we sit there with some tea. So Jim, how's it going, man? How's it going? How are you feeling today? No, we don't freaking do that. We never have. You all are projecting your crap onto men. We do not communicate in that fashion. During that golf match, after we had a session at the gym, we're going to just chill in between sets and we will talk about stocks. We'll talk about whatever problem we're having. I do it every single day. I meet the guys at the gym. And in between sets, we have a discussion. We make business deals. We do every freaking single thing in between those time periods. We don't sit there looking at each other and staring into each other's eyes, freaking hugging our mugs or our tea. No, we don't freaking do that. We don't sit down for 2, 4, 5 hours talking shit with our emotions. And this is the reason why I know this article is lying. And it's amazing how this is one freaking article that has been picked up by so many freaking women, and this whole thing has been perpetrated as a huge thing that women now have to be aware of that they shouldn't do.
What is mankeeping and why is it affecting friendships and relationships for both men and women?
Have you heard of the term mankeeping? This is an article that the Evening Standard have written.
Have you seen this article in the New York Times about mankeeping, referring to women having to be responsible in their heterosexual relationships about the social circles of the men?
Mind-blowing, man.
Heavy topic. Loneliness epidemic is more than them not being able to find fulfilling relationships. It's them literally being lonely because they put all of their impetus, all of their emotional needs on their significant other. So if they don't have a significant other, they are so lonely and desperate for that love, that attention. In turn, that means that when that male gets in a relationship, that woman has to provide it all. Because the man does not have his own emotional relationships and own friendships, he's relying on the woman for social engagement. Because he hasn't developed friendships with other men to talk about his fears, his concerns, his issues, he now relies on his significant other for that. Women are now resenting that and not wanting to get in relationships wherein they're just dumped on and the provider. So the tagline to this is men need to stop depending on women. We no longer depend on men financially. They need to not depend on us emotionally.
Oh, we no longer depend on them financially. They don't need to depend on us emotionally. The amount of these videos that are up there on TikTok are just mind-blowing. This is just another way of women just trying to show that they're stronger than men. We're stronger than you, physically and emotionally, and we're not going to make you depend on our strength. Oh, freaking insane listening to this shit. Anyway, guys, if you're lonely, you know what to do. Go to the gym, find a brother, say hello. Done. Okay? But I know most of us are not lonely. We love that time alone where we can go and relish and play our games, interact at a sporting event. We don't need much to be entertained or to connect with another person. Women are just jealous that it takes so little for men to actually feel satisfied. That's the problem. So, my friends, let me know your thoughts. Let's have a discussion in the comments section. Of course, book a session if you need any help from the older man. If you need to recalibrate life, my friends, I'm here for you. I'm your mentor. I'm the dad. I'm that uncle. Okay? So, my friends, until tomorrow, remember, whenever in doubt, always, always ask an older man. I'll see you soon. Cheers.